I should have ignored it, deleted it, pretended I never saw it. But there it was, sitting in my inbox like a beautifully wrapped bomb, waiting to explode. From Victoria Monroe. Subject, Isla's birthday celebration, family only. Lena, join us. For Isla's birthday. It's time to move forward as a family. A pause, a breath. I read it again, as if the words might change. It had been months since I was pushed aside, since I felt like a stranger in my own father's house. And yet, here she was, offering an olive branch. Hope is a funny thing. It lingers, even when you know better. Maybe this was real. Maybe, after all the cold glances, the whispered conversations, and the feeling that I never quite belonged, this was finally a chance to be part of the family again. Doubt gnawed at the edges of my mind. Victoria never did anything without a reason, but I ignored it. I ignored every instinct, every warning. I clicked, except the Monroe estate glowed like a golden cage against the night sky, a place of beauty, of wealth, of power, of secrets. I stepped inside, and instantly something felt wrong. It wasn't the extravagant chandeliers, the crystal glasses, or the soft hum of polite conversation. It wasn't even the fact that everything looked meticulously perfect, as if not a single detail was left to chance. No, it was the people. Eyes flickered toward me. Conversations hushed as I passed. A low murmur, like a wave rising in the distance. They were watching me, not with warmth, not with welcome, with anticipation. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile as I moved deeper into the crowd. Victoria appeared, her face the perfect mask of grace. "Lena," she said, arms outstretched, voice warm, too warm. "You made it." Something in my gut twisted. "I wouldn't miss Isla's birthday," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Her lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Course not, dear. Family is everything." She leaned in, just enough for her breath to ghost against my skin. "And tonight is all about family." Her fingers trailed over my arm. A touch so light, so delicate, but it might as well have been a knife. I shivered. And then, she was gone, disappearing into the crowd like a phantom. The unease clawed at me. Something wasn't right. And deep, down, I already knew. I shouldn't have come. The sound of a silver spoon clinking against glass silenced the room. Victoria stood at the center, a picture of elegance. Isla beside her, glowing like the perfect little princess she had always been. "My dear friends, my cherished family," Victoria's voice rang out, rich with honeyed warmth. "Tonight, we celebrate Isla, a daughter so full of kindness, loyalty, and love." A polite round of applause, smiles, warmth. For a moment, something inside me ached. Maybe this was real. Maybe I was wrong to doubt her. Then, her tone shifted, sharp, cold, like steel slicing through silk. "But family is built on trust." A pause, a single glance in my direction, and when that trust is broken, the betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. The warmth vanished. The air turned thick. Unspoken tension coiled like a snake ready to strike. I stiffened, my heartbeat uneven. What was happening? Victoria sighed, shaking her head. "A performance." "There's no easy way to say this," she continued, her voice tinged with sorrow. "But tonight, we must face an unthinkable betrayal." The air shifted. All eyes were on me now. I felt it before. She even said the words, "Lena." The way she said my name, soft, almost pitying, sent ice through my veins. I forced my voice to stay steady. What are you talking about? Victoria gestured behind her. A screen flickered to life, emails, transactions, evidence, a forged trail of numbers, all leading back to me. Every click, every false document, every theft, signed with my name. My stomach dropped. No, this was a lie, a setup. But the gasps, the whispers, they believed it. I never wanted to believe it, Victoria said, shaking her head, her voice thick with disappointment. But the evidence is undeniable. My own stepdaughter, stealing from the family business, murmurs, judgment, rising, like a tidal wave. How could she do this? After everything they gave her, I always knew she was selfish. The walls closed in. I turned to Isla, the perfect victim. Tears shimmered in her eyes. Fake. Forced. I looked up to you, Lena, she whispered, voice trembling. How could you? My chest tightened. This was a script, a carefully rehearsed play. I was the villain, and they had been waiting for my fall. I stepped forward. My breath shook. This isn't real. You set me up. But Victoria tilted her head, disappointed, as if I was a child caught lying. Oh, sweetheart, she said softly, voice full of mocking pity. If only you had come to me. Maybe we could have fixed this. Her eyes darkened. But now, everyone knows the truth. A single command. Get her out. The world tilted. Gasps turned into movement. Hands grabbed me. I fought. I shouted. But the room had already made its decision. I was nothing to them. And as the doors slammed shut behind me, the cold night swallowing me whole, my father's voice echoed in my mind. Victoria only cares about Isla. Be careful. I wasn't careful enough. I should have listened. But now, they would wish they had never crossed me. Betrayal doesn't end when the knife goes in. It lingers. It poisons. It turns everything familiar into something foreign. Days passed, but for me, time had stopped. I was drowning, and no one was reaching in to pull me out. My phone buzzed. Another message. Another door slammed shut. Given the recent controversy, we regret to inform you that we must withdraw our investment. The fourth one this week. I scrolled through the headlines, each one more damning than the last. The unthinkable betrayal. Daughter steals family fortune. Victoria Lancaster's heartbreaking confession. I loved her like my own, and this is how she repays me? Lena Lancaster, the real heir, speaks out. I only ever wanted a sister. Lies. All of it. But no one cared about the truth. I tried to call friends. Ones who used to laugh at my jokes. Ones who toasted to my success. Voicemail. Text messages were left unread. I wasn't just cast out of my family. I was exiled from my entire life. Stared at my phone. My last lifeline. A name glowed on the screen. Victoria. I swallowed hard and pressed the call button. 1 ring, 2, 3. Then, nothing. Just the cold, robotic voice of her voicemail. I tried again. And again. She wasn't ignoring me. She was erasing me. I sat in my apartment, surrounded by unopened mail and a silence so thick it felt suffocating. Everything I'd known, every smile, every kind word, every fleeting moment of warmth from Victoria and Isla was a lie. I replayed it all in my head, like a film on a loop. Victoria's gentle touch on my shoulder, whispering, "Family is everything, darling." Isla's wide-eyed innocence, murmuring, "I'll always be on your side." Had they laughed about it behind my back? Had they toasted to their perfect plan while I played the fool? A bitter taste coated my tongue. I had been managed, handled. Victoria and Isla never saw me as family. They saw me as a problem to be removed. The realization burned through me, sharp and unrelenting. Then, like a ghost rising from the past, I heard my father's voice, his last warning before he left this world. Victoria only cares about Isla. Be careful. I had brushed it off, back then, desperate to believe that I mattered. I had been careful, but not careful enough. A ghost from the past brings a sliver of truth. I was staring at the wall when my phone vibrated. A number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something in my gut told me to answer. Hello? A low, familiar voice responded. Lena, it's Daniel. My stomach tightened. Daniel had worked for Victoria years ago. He was her right hand, man. Until he wasn't. What do you want? My voice was hoarse, raw. I know what they did to you. My breath caught. Daniel exhaled slowly. I have proof. My fingers tightened around the phone. This could be another trick. Another game. But what if it wasn't? What kind of proof? A pause. Then, meet me. I hesitated, my heart hammering. Where? I found him in a dimly lit diner on the outskirts of town. He looked different, older, wearier. As I slid into the seat across from him, he pushed a folder toward me. I hesitated before opening it. And when I did, the breath left my lungs. Emails, manipulated documents, wire transfers. Every single thing was fake. Every single thing. Daniel's voice was low, careful. They started setting you up months ago. The fake accounts, the planted evidence. It wasn't an impulsive decision. It was calculated, methodical. I skimmed the emails, altered timestamps, conversations I never had. They had woven a lie so intricate, so precise, that even I had started to doubt myself. I closed the folder, my hands trembling. Victoria had always been ruthless. But this was war. I pushed my chair back, needing air, needing space. Why? What was the endgame? Daniel's expression darkened. You don't know? Know what? He hesitated, then reached into his bag and pulled out one last document. A will. My father's will. I scanned the page, my eyes darting over the words until they landed on one crucial line. I leave the entirety of Lancaster Industries to my daughter, Lena Lancaster. Everything, the company, the assets, the legacy. Not Isla me Victoria had lied. Isla had played along. They stole what was mine, and when the paperwork didn't favor them, they destroyed me instead. I clenched the paper so tightly my knuckles turned white. They took everything. But I wasn't broken. Not anymore. The woman in the mirror is no longer a victim. I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, staring at the reflection of a woman I no longer recognized. The girl who sought approval, gone. The girl who begged for love, dead. In her place stood someone else, someone sharper, stronger. I leaned closer, whispering to my own reflection. They wanted a villain? A slow, cold smile curled at my lips. I'll give them one. And for the first time in weeks, the weight in my chest lifted. Because now, it was my turn. The moment they betrayed me, they thought I was finished. They thought I would break, disappear, become nothing. They were wrong. Revenge isn't about rage. It's about control. It's about patience. I learned that the hard way. When I struck back blindly before, I lost everything. My reputation, my father's company, my name. This time, I wouldn't make the same mistake. No impulsive moves. No reckless vengeance. Victoria and Isla built their empire on deception, but even the strongest structures have cracks. I just had to find them and widen them. I spent weeks watching, studying. Victoria thrived on power, on being untouchable. Isla? She craved validation, desperate to be seen as more than just the little sister. Their weaknesses weren't just exploitable. They were fatal flaws waiting to be exposed. But I couldn't do it alone. The first step? Rebuilding my own power before I took theirs. I wasn't the only one they discarded. Victoria had a habit of burning bridges. Employees who got too close to the truth, investors who questioned her, assistants who knew too much. One by one, she erased them from her world. But the thing about people like that, they never forget. I started making calls. Lena? The voice on the other end was cautious, uncertain. It's been a long time, Daniel, I said. I think we have unfinished business. He hesitated, then let out a sharp breath. You're not the only one. One by one, they came forward. Former executives, loyalists my father had trusted, people Victoria had silenced. Their stories were all the same: manipulation, lies, ruthless ambition. She had used them, just like she used me, and they were more than willing to help me bring her down. Documents surfaced. Buried records, hidden transactions, financial discrepancies. But one file stood out among the rest. A transaction trail, carefully concealed, leading back to something bigger. Something illegal. Something that could ruin Victoria forever. As I stared at the evidence, my hands steadied. For the first time in months, I felt powerful again. There was one last thing, tying me to the past, a framed photo, me, Victoria, and Isla, standing in front of my father's office, smiling, looking like a family. A lie, frozen in time. My fingers hovered over the glass, just for a second. Then I shattered it. The sound echoed in the empty room. No more sentiment. No more hesitation. The past was dead. Now it was my turn to rewrite the story. I swept the shards into the trash. It was time. I didn't attack directly. I whispered. Victoria's empire was built on perception. The illusion of control, of invincibility. If I struck too soon, she'd close ranks. But if I planted doubt, if I made people question her, the cracks would form on their own. The first leak was subtle, just a document, just enough to make investors uneasy. Then, a discrepancy in financial reports, a rumor about internal conflicts. One by one, the board members started to glance at each other in meetings, exchanging wary looks. Isla noticed first. She had always been the weaker one, the more fragile one. And now she could feel it, something shifting, something wrong. She confronted Victoria. Something's happening, she said, voice tight. People are pulling away. Victoria scoffed. Lena's finished. She's nothing. But Isla wasn't convinced. Her world thrived on appearances. She could sense when the tide was turning. She could feel the quiet, creeping force of a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. And then, her phone buzzed. A single message. You think you've won? I'm just getting started. Every piece was in place. Every move calculated. I needed the perfect moment for the final strike. Something public. Something undeniable. Victoria thrived in the spotlight, so I would destroy her in front of it. A major shareholder meeting, a high-profile event. The perfect audience for her downfall. She had destroyed my name in front of everyone. Now, I'd return the favor. The room hums with anticipation. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over the sea of finely dressed elites, each one eager to witness another spectacle of Victoria's success. Cameras flash, journalists swarm, investors shake her hand, feeding her insatiable ego. I watch from the shadows, unseen but in full control. Victoria stands at the center of it all, a queen on her throne, completely oblivious that her empire, her entire existence, is built on a foundation that's already crumbling beneath her. She smirks, basking in the praise. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's an honor to... I exhale slowly, fingers poised over the control panel. She has no idea this stage belongs to me. Every microphone, every camera, every broadcast feed, it's all mine. She's seconds away from losing everything. It's time. The moment Victoria begins her speech, the screen behind her flickers. A hush falls over the crowd. The static hums, a sharp contrast to the polished, rehearsed words spilling from her lips. Then, chaos. The feed cuts to a series of images. Documents, transactions, bank records, embezzlement, fraud, the quiet, insidious theft that built her empire. Gasps ripple through the audience. Victoria stumbles, her face draining of color. What the hell is going on? She hisses under her breath. The screen changes again. A video now. Security footage. A dimly lit office. Victoria and Isla, drunk on power, laughing, their voices cutting through the stunned silence of the ballroom. Victoria smirks on screen. They actually think I care about them? Please, they're nothing but pawns. Isla giggles. And Lena? God, she was so desperate to be one of us. The real Victoria. The one behind the mask. The ballroom erupts. No, this is fake. Victoria's voice cracks. Her eyes dart wildly across the room, searching for an escape, for someone to take her side, but the tide has already turned. Tell me this isn't real, an investor demands, his voice filled with rage. Victoria shakes her head, stepping forward, hands raised. You all know me. You know what I've built. But at what cost? Another voice cuts through. Isla is shaking beside her. Victoria, what do we do? For once, Victoria has no answer. Then, the final blow. Security steps onto the stage. Ma'am, you need to come with us. And just like that, the queen falls. The crowd parts as they're led through. The same people who once worshipped them now sneer, whisper, turn their backs. Reporters shove microphones into their faces. Victoria, what do you have to say for yourself? Isla, did you know about the fraud? No comment, Victoria mutters through clenched teeth, her nails digging into her palm. Look at them, she hisses at Isla. Like vultures. But she isn't wrong, because this is what she's always been afraid of, being powerless, and now she's nothing. By morning, the world knows. Every headline, every news outlet, every social media feed is filled with the same story. The fall of a fraud. Their accounts, frozen. Their assets, seized. Their allies, gone. Victoria sits in the silence of her ruined empire, staring at the world that no longer belongs to her. And I smile. Now they know what it feels like to lose everything. It's finally mine. I stand in the center of my office, my empire, looking at everything I reclaimed. The battle is over. I won. So why does it feel so empty? The silence wraps around me like a heavy fog, pressing down, suffocating. For months I dreamed of this moment. I imagined the rush of satisfaction, the sheer euphoria of seeing them fall. But now, it's just me. Alone. I run my fingers across the desk, the same one Victoria once sat behind, issuing commands, pulling strings, deciding who thrived and who suffered. Now she's nothing, And I should be celebrating. Instead, I stare at my reflection in the glass, searching for the girl who once believed justice would bring her peace. She's gone. The memories come in waves. The lies, the manipulation, the nights I lay awake, questioning my own worth. The way they laughed as they stole everything from me. I remember the moment I decided to fight back. The rage, the desperation, the fire that burned so deep it kept me alive. And now I have everything they took. Every dollar, every connection, every ounce of power they once wielded. But at what cost? I grip the edge of the desk, knuckles white. I've changed. I can feel it in the way my pulse no longer quickens at the thought of revenge. I already have it. So why does my chest feel so hollow? Am I stronger or just colder? Victoria and Isla are nothing now. They were once the queens of this world, admired, envied, untouchable. Now they're whispers in the background, ghosts in a story that no one cares about anymore. They lost their fortune, their power, their allies. And yet, as I scroll through a news article showing Isla exiting a rundown motel, head low, I feel nothing. No satisfaction. No pity. Just indifference. Once I would have given anything to see them like this, to watch them suffer. But now, watching them claw at the scraps of their former lives, I realize they're not worth another second of my time. They destroyed themselves. I don't need to do anything else. I take a deep breath. I have power now, but I won't let it consume me the way it consumed them. I refuse to be defined by what they did to me. I'm more than a victim, more than an avenger. I'm something else. Now, something stronger. They took everything from me once, but I built myself back up, stronger than before.